Welcome back to Can Business Save the Planet? My name is Alex Schulze, and today we are joined by Bianca, Tom, and Gearoid from Kingspan. It's going to be an exciting conversation to better understand their initiatives across the board to support different groups that are helping to clean plastic from the ocean and implement various different sustainability initiatives. Guys, really looking forward to this conversation. Let's dive in. All right, guys, welcome to Can Business Save the Planet? Thank you guys so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us. Glad to be here.
Of course. Well, it's a pleasure to have you guys on. Very excited. I guess we'll kick things off. And Bianca, if you could, can you tell us a little bit about your journey and how you ended up in your current role with Kingspan?
Yeah, sure. Happy to. So I joined Kingspan right after college, actually, in a technical advisory role in our Australian business. And that gave me a really solid insight into manufacturing. I've always been naturally curious about how systems work, and that really led me towards sustainability projects and roles, because to change a system, you first have to understand it. At the moment now, I'm in a more broader strategic role where I'm bringing together sustainability, digital transformation and brand strategy. And I believe that intersection is really powerful because it will enable us to create more meaningful change for our business, for our customers, and for the planet, really.
Yes. I think that's a great topic. And honestly, you just hit on something that's very important to me and to us here at 4Ocean, which is that intersection of sustainability and brand. We really do believe in the power of branding and connecting with consumers, because at the end of the day, we say it a lot. We're trying to make sustainability cool, right? We're trying to get more people involved. And I do believe that you can do that by leveraging a brand. So very, very impactful. And I completely understand and agree with you. When it comes to the sustainability journey for Kingspan as a whole, what do you think it's been like?
It's been a really interesting ride so far. We our whole product set is really centered around resource efficiency. So our insulation, natural daylighting, ventilation, and solar PV. So it's always really been at the core of the business. I suppose we began more formalized programs in 2011, and we started with focusing on renewable energy. And then in 2019, we moved to do a much broader program, which is called Planet Passionate. And that's really about addressing our most material business impacts, which then in turn then enables us to reduce the environmental impact of our products and help to decarbonize the built environment. So it's been backed, the whole way through from the top to the bottom of the organization. We've got really motivated teams, and it's really proud thing for our customers to our employees to get behind, and for our customers as well. And it's brought really meaningful, tangible results for the business. So it's been a really interesting journey so far. And yeah, long may it continue into the future. Our CEO always says it's not, a few years. This is a continuous journey that we're going to be on for quite some time. And it's bedded into our company mission of trying to help accelerate the decarbonisation of the built environment. So it's very important to us to help to achieve that.
I love it. And I love to hear that. And, for all the listeners that are unaware of your guys' operations, what does Kingspan primarily focus in the product and service that you offer?
Yeah, so we make a lot of different building materials and systems and solutions for the construction sector. So insulation would be one of our largest categories. Then we do natural daylighting, ventilation, we do rainwater harvesting. And then we also have new products like our power panels. So that's integrated solar PV and insulation products, so you can get up and running in your business, thermally insulate it really well, and then generate renewable electricity. So as I mentioned, the whole product set is really centered around enabling resource efficiency in buildings, be that saving energy, saving emissions, saving water, and then harvesting the natural resources, so sunlight and wind.
Love it. Love it. Okay, that's incredibly helpful. And Tom and Gearoid, I'm curious to hear about your guys' journeys and how you got involved with Kingspan as a whole. Tom, would you like to go first?
Yeah, absolutely. What I've known Kingspan nearly all my life. I grew up on a farm just about 20 minutes down the road from Kings Court, where the company is based. And they sponsored the local Irish football team, County Cavan, where I went to primary school. And after 15 years of living and working towards becoming a professional sailor in France, our paths crossed again a couple of years ago, and they decided, very thankfully, to sponsor me to my offshore sailing adventures. So we kind of went a bit around the world to find each other again. So no, I'm delighted.
I love it. I love it. And Gerard, how about you?
So for me, obviously, I've seen Kingspan as a brand and a company all over Ireland in all their buildings and that kind of stuff. But I started working with them very recently, like a month or two ago, as part of their Kickstarter fund. So I applied and they had me on for their Kickstarter fund as an athlete, and it's great to be working with a company like this from Ireland that have this ethos, especially around the ocean and stuff, where I spend most of my time.
Yep. Completely understandable. Completely understandable. What's your guys' thoughts about working with a company like Kingspan that focused on sustainability?
Go on ahead, Gearoid.
Like having a company that's focused on sustainability like that and working with is a big thing for me, because like obviously everyone's life you're trying to be more and more sustainable. So having companies that support you, that are part of it, it really helps the whole thing and helps you think about it more and just want to promote the company and how they're working with everything as well.
Yeah, without a doubt, it's vital really, because I suppose we Gearoid and myself, we have a chance that our playing fields, our football pitch, our whole life revolves around the ocean. So we spend every day either looking at it, floating around on it, or trying to analyse it in some way or another. So we kind of, it's impossible not to see the changes that take part on the ocean. So I can't. We couldn't. I don't know. It just wouldn't work if we were sponsored by any sort of organism that does any sort of damage to it. It just isn't aligned with the values around ocean health.
Understandable. No, I completely agree with you as far as just trying to be aligned with different brands and different companies that are doing the right thing and trying to take the necessary steps when it comes to sustainability. So I completely understand on your guys' case. And Bianca, I'm very curious. I've seen, Kingspan has been doing some amazing work. I mean, you guys have partnered with so many different awesome groups in the space, driving sustainability forward, cleaning plastics from the ocean, just doing so many different campaigns. I'd love to learn more about, your guys' initiatives where you're working with these different groups around the world, and then also just learn about, what drove you to want to work with 4Ocean?
Sure, yeah. So I think it goes back to when we were developing our Planet Passionate program, as I mentioned, in 2019. So I think it was very visible in the press around that time, the scale of the ocean plastic pollutions, and you had, the big garbage patch and the gyres, and, we could really see that this was a really important issue that needed to be tackled. So as part of our Planet Passionate program, we decided to include a target to partner with a new organisation every year to help tackle the issue. And a big part of the reason why we partnered with 4Ocean was that we have very clear criteria that we want to meet for our partnership, and you guys ticked all those boxes. So firstly, it was about supporting an organisation that had the ability to remove large quantities. For us, it's all about support, making sure whatever support we're putting into it, that, it's actually making a difference, and, you can quantify what's coming out as well, which is really important. The collection method that you have via the river boons, I think that's highly effective, and also it doesn't significantly disturb the biodiversity. So I think that's really important. And transparency, being able to provide us with those detailed monthly reports gives us very, great confidence actually that this is happening, because when we were talking to lots of potential partners, that transparency element was missing a lot. So for us, we have to be stewards of the support that, we need to have our checks and balances as well. So for you guys, it was, all the right boxes were ticked. You were being really transparent about what you were doing. And you just seem like a fantastic organisation. All of the interactions, it's been, an absolute pleasure really working with you guys so far.
I appreciate that. That means a lot to us. And the transparency is something that we're very proud of. Our captains and crew are working hard every single day. And that is one thing we pride ourselves in, is the ability to take photos of before, during, and after the cleanups, to be able to prove every single pound that was clean. I love being able to show the lead captains, the crew members, where the plastic was collected, and being able to give you all that data to see the impact that you guys have been able to make with the 4Ocean team. So we really appreciate you guys and appreciate all of your partnership and all the efforts. And it's been unbelievable the impact that we've been able to make so far. Right now, I believe we're just at about 85,000 pounds of plastic removed. So yeah, well on our way to the overall 150,000 pounds. So very, very excited to partner with you guys on that. And, the boom systems. Boom systems they're an incredible method of tackling ocean plastic. When you think about the amount of plastic entering the ocean, we get asked all the time, where's the plastic coming from? Is it just people dumping it offshore on boats? And I think that's something that we spent a lot of time, at least where we're operating, almost majority of the plastic is coming from land-based sources. We say it's a formula. If you have elevation, a country that lacks waste management infrastructure, some form of a rainy season, you're almost always going to have plastic that ends up washing into the ocean. And so that's where we're operating. And we've implemented our low-tech boom systems because they're very efficient. They work very well at stopping plastic before it has a chance to reach the ocean. And I know that is something that you guys are very keen on, especially as you mentioned, having as minimal as possible of an impact on the biodiversity. So I'm curious, when it comes to boom systems and just your overall thoughts with partnering with Ocean on these and other organizations as well, what really drove you guys to want to target boom systems and get more involved on that front?
I think we learned a lot from the partners as we were going along. At the start, we were just very aware of the issue, and we were thinking, right, okay, material needs to be removed. Let's put some support behind that, and also see if we could use that material onwards as a raw material for our products. But then, as the years went on, from 2020 onwards, when we were talking to potential partners, we were seeing other issues like, it's ocean-bound plastic and it's the infrastructure isn't in place. And I suppose we probably didn't understand that at the very beginning. And we had to really say, well, actually, maybe helping this organization is going to help more in this area than actually just, funding, ocean. Because again, we had set a very clear target to support ocean cleanup. But actually, we understood the issue as you've just described it there a lot more from the partnerships and learning from you guys as well. So we have a different range from, we've got ClearBot, which is a little robot, obviously, that goes around and cleans the rivers there in India. And we partnered with a fishing network via EcoAlf. That was our first partnership. And then we've got others, and we're looking at more for next year as well. So it's really trying to use the funding and partnering right with the right organizations to try and help move the agenda along in those areas, because the blocker seems to be different. And obviously, so much more about this, but depending on the area as well. So we're just trying to provide what support we can to help do that, because the challenge is different in different areas.
Yes, I completely agree with you. You actually just hit on something that's super important. You guys are very well versed. You've spent a ton of time talking with the different organizations, and the difference between ocean and ocean bound. There's a stark difference. When you think about that, ocean is really the plastic that's being collected from these oceans and coastlines where plastic has already been entered in the ocean, has washed up onto these coastlines. And that's our definition. Some people call it ocean bound, but ocean bound, really the formal definition is plastic within 50 kilometers of a coastline. And so I think that's a big, big difference in the effort. And just to be very clear, all of these methods are all impactful for helping to combat ocean plastic. That's something that I think is super important. And we love to see all of these different groups, organizations, and people really stepping up to help combat the plastic crisis. I think the groups that are out there in the rivers, on the oceans, on the coastlines, doing the hard work in the sun is something that from a cost perspective and from a level of really just work. I mean, it's hard. You're in the sun, you're sweating. It takes a lot. Vessels, engines, maintenance, insurance, the whole nine. Like it is a very big operation to clean plastic from rivers, coastlines, and out of the ocean. And not saying that it's not for ocean bound, but ocean bound typically is a little bit more of waste management infrastructure. And so they are two separate, different type of things where they have different levels and different tiers of impact. So we're excited to see, the different groups that are out there. And like you said, that is the hardest part of being able to show the proof of the actual plastic being cleaned up. And so we've put a ton of time and energy into that. So it's very, very interesting on that front. And, Tom Gearoid, I'm curious of your thoughts. When you guys think about sustainability as a whole, and you just think about, really representing something, representing a brand, representing, I guess, a larger mission, what really drives you guys when it comes to the overall goal of sustainability as a whole?
I think But with what Gearoid and myself probably do is that when you do like what we do, at the end of the day, when I go out in a boat on my own, I kind of have to fill it up with food, with water, with things, and then I have to sail around with all the leftovers of the whole thing. So the whole sustainability issue or problem is kind of smacks you in the face, because you realise that if you're not careful with things, you're going to end up running out of them. And then you have to sail around with all the rubbish that you have on board, and then you get off land, you get back on land, and you see basically what you've consumed for 3 or 4 days, and then it just disappears into the lovely little box that someone's put there for you, and after that you don't actually know where it goes. So you kind of, and we sail around or surf around, and every day we just see all of the, as you talked about, ocean plastic. To be honest, it becomes less and less shocking. You're so used to seeing it, you know. It's not one day or not one race goes around when you see something in the water, you hit something, you crash into something. So it gets a bit tough from time to time, I think.
And I completely agree with you, Tom. I think that's something that, I'm a big fan of myself when it comes to like staying on the boat for multiple days or just living, kind of like the mini camper type life, right? It's staying in a small cabin, staying in a small vessel. Like you just hit a good point that it's at those moments that you really can notice the materials and just sustainability as a whole, because we're fortunate, right? When you have waste management infrastructure, you're throwing things out in the trash, you're throwing things in the recycling bin, they're going, typically away. So most people don't realize that. But when you are in these situations where, you're on a 3, 4, 5 day trip and you're like, okay, I'm starting to notice like all the things that I brought with me, it's really eye-opening as far as the materials that you consume, and it helps drive conscious decisions too.
And it makes you realize how little you actually need in life to be happy at the end of the day. It teaches a kind of a restraint or a kind of sobriety about everything that we need. Like, we don't need 3 cars and two big houses and new clothes every day. You kind of read at the end of the day, and look at Gearoid, he just needs a board and a few waves, and he's happy. And I think that it's probably something that people get a bit caught away with. And that's why it's great to see people like you putting. I seen your Instagram account, putting that into the public spectre to kind of just to see that, what can.
Yes, 100%. And Garrett, I'm curious to hear your thoughts as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like Tom said, we just put stuff into a bin and we don't really think about it. But then kind of when you're in the ocean and you're immersed in it so much that you see the plastic, you see all the rubbish that can be there, that it really makes you think and makes you realize, I actually need to like really focus on this and make sure that I'm putting things into the right bin, and that or just making sure you're putting things in the right place, that they're going to go to the right places and not end up in the ocean. I know, like you said, in places where there's like a rainy season, like I've been in places like Indonesia a lot where they have a big rainy season and a lot of stuff can end up in the water after a big heavy rain. So like that kind of stuff, knowing that there's a company like you focusing on those kind of places and helping and is a massive thing, because those places are there, you definitely see a lot. So it's definitely nice to be able to know that there's help trying to go into it.
Yeah, understandable. And when you've been to Indonesia, have you had a chance to like actually like swim through the plastic, or has it affected you like out in lineup or anything like that?
Oh, for sure. Like in some places you're seeing like so much plastic, you're paddling through it, like there's lumps of plastic getting caught up in your hands, in your leash, all this kind of stuff. So I know like in Ireland it's not as much there, but you do still see it. But out there there's a lot. So it's amazing to know that work's being done to battle it.
One of the great things you do is at least you get it into the public sphere. People see it. See that the real problem is then, and then at least that way it puts some sort of pressure on those who make the decisions, especially like today in Geneva. At least there's someone out there.
Yep.
Puts pressure on those who have to get rid of the plastic or reduce at least the amount of plastic that we make, so that it doesn't end up in our ocean. So that you don't even need to exist.
Completely understand. I think that, driving that attention awareness, just like you mentioned, like what you guys are doing on a daily basis, just being out there, being ambassadors for the ocean, being ambassadors for conservation is so important. And with Kingspan, what you guys are doing to really promote that and drive that forward. Like when you really think about it, a company producing various different products and materials, like to be focused on sustainability, to be seeking out these different groups, organizations, and different sustainability based individuals. Like it's incredible, and I love to see that, especially getting any type of exposure that you can, because I do believe that one of the main things that we're trying to drive forward at 4Ocean is just the awareness, trying to get people aware of the amount of plastic pollution that is in the ocean and what's happening on a daily basis with the amount that we're consuming. And plastic as a whole is not the enemy. A lot of people ask us, like, do you hate plastic do you hate plastic? And plastic as a material is incredible, right? It's lightweight, fire resistant, prop resistant. Like, there's so many properties about plastic that's incredible. But I think that when you think of the application, that's where we really hone in on. And single-use plastic, something that's designed to last forever, but is used for a few minutes, is where we really have a huge impact, because somebody, consuming that bottle or consuming that wrapper sachet that's used for a couple seconds and is meant to be thrown away, or if it's manufactured in a way that makes it very difficult to recycle. Like, for example, if you have bottles with polyvinyl chloride, like shiny labels on them that are more difficult to separate and recycle, like those are examples of things that are very difficult, and the multi-layer packaging and things like that. So I think at the end of the day, what you're saying makes a lot of sense with just driving that awareness and bringing that home. So I appreciate you guys and everything you're doing to try and bring that awareness across the board.
Yeah, I think especially, like you said, people that aren't aware of it, they see photos of these places and it looks like perfect blue ocean and super clean and stuff. Until you're like out there and in it, that's when you start seeing it so much. So it is all about just bringing the awareness to the general public about it, I think.
Yes, completely aligned. Completely aligned. Well, guys, I appreciate the time. This has been incredible to talk to you guys and learn more about it. Is there anything else that you would want the listeners to know about Kingspan, your efforts, sustainability as a whole, anything that you want to discuss?
I think anything else we'd like people to know? No, I mean, we publish an annual sustainability report, our Planet Passionate report, where we detail, the challenges we've had, the positive things we've been able to have, because I think it's important to show, the challenges and the positives. So we try to be very transparent about that. So you can find lots of information on the types of projects we're doing within our business, all of our partnerships and work we're doing with great people like with Tom and Gearoid. And also on our website, there's lots of information as well. And we try to be very transparent about it, as I said, because all businesses are trying to address this, and trying to understand, how do I run a business? How do I be profitable? But how do I also reduce my environmental impact as I do that? So I think it's really important not to gatekeep and also to be open. A lot of businesses do that. And I think that that's really important. And keeping the awareness, I think, particularly in a time like this now, because there is a lot of talk around climate change, but then, we're in a strange economic time, and, leadership isn't maybe where it needs to be around the world. But that doesn't mean that the challenge and the crisis has gone away. So I think the work we're all doing is very important to keep that front and center.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, guys, I really appreciate you coming on board. This was fantastic to have a conversation and just learn more about the initiatives across the board. And just thank you so much for the time.
Thank you, Alex.
No problem. Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us on.
Of course, guys, keep it up and keep the amazing work going. I love to see it out there, and maybe we'll catch you out in the water sometime.
Yes.
All right, guys.
Cheers.
Thank
Cheers,
you.
guys. All right, guys, that was an awesome conversation with Tom Gearoid and Bianca. Thank you very much for their support, and we hope you guys enjoyed the conversation. If you guys have a business that you would like us to connect with to talk about sustainability, please let us know. If you guys can, please like, subscribe, throw some love, throw some comments. We'd love to hear from you guys. But thank you so much for listening, and until then, we'll be asking the question, can business save the planet? See you next time, guys. Thank you.